Hello and welcome everyone to today's webinar. My name is Stefan Giebel and today I'd like to talk about how to collect data from a SINUMERIK 840D and provide it via OPC UA or MQTT. Two small points before I start. So everyone will receive a follow-up email containing a link to the recorded webinar and also some useful informations. If you have seen my other videos, before I forgot, if you have questions, please write them down and I will get to them at the end of the webinar. So you can write them down in the chat menu of the GoToWebinar panel. Okay, if you have seen my other webinars, you will be familiar with the structure. So it's again separated in two parts. We will start with the theoretical part, which is dealing with the questions, what are the features, the advantages of the UA-Gate 840D, the gateway which we are using to collect data from the SINUMERIK 840D. This is followed by the actual live demonstration. Okay, here you can see the gateway again. The name is Data Feed UA-Gate 840D and it's collecting data from the SINUMERIK, and you can mount it on a URL in your control cabinet. It needs 25 volts. And it gives an update for your already existing tool machines in terms of OPC UA and MQTT. Very significant is that the gateway can access both parts, NCK and PLC. So the NCK area contains information about which tool is used, spindle speed, the position of the axis, also the alarm list, which torque has the engine which is running, and the PLC part is contains data like program is running, program is stopped, program is aborted. It has also an alarm list, could be a workpiece counter, I don't know. But I come back to this later and tell more about the two parts, the NCK area and the PLC area. The best thing on that is that we don't need an additional license from Siemens, so you can just have to plug in the cable, you have to configure the UA-Gate, which is really easy, and then we can collect data out from the SINUMERIK. This is also possible with software versions greater than 4.3, so don't worry, we are not fixed to one specific software version. We can collect data from many different SINUMERIK software versions. And once you have collected the data, you can use them for different purposes like condition monitoring, predictive maintenance. You can also do some data analytics in the cloud. This is up to you. So once again, a little overview. So the UA-Gate 840D in the middle is collecting data from the SINUMERIK 840D via a specific SINUMERIK protocol. And once we've done that, you can decide either by providing the data via OPC UA, or you can send data in the cloud via MQTT. So we are also certified by Azure, so there should be no problems, but you can pretty much send data to every cloud, so we are not fixed to Azure. You can also send data to IBM or Amazon AWS. What are the advantages? So the best thing is that you don't need coding, no programming on the PLC or NC side, and you also don't need special Siemens engineering know-how. So if step 7 or tier does not ring any bells, doesn't matter. You just have to configure the gateway and that's it. So no change on the SINUMERIK side. As I said before, the configuration is really easy via the integrated web server, so you just need a web browser, no additional software tool to set up the gateway. So you just need a browser like Firefox or Chrome, type in the IP address of the gateway, and that's it. We also meet the highest security requirements, of course, because we can data encrypt and decrypt, and this is done via SSL or the integrated security mechanisms from OPC UA. This is, I will now start with a bit of theory how to set up the whole thing. So this is the front side of the UA gate, and we have an upper interface for the IT side. So they can be configured independently. So the upper interface can have a different IP address, and normally this the upper interface is used to provide the data via OPC UA or MQTT. So the gateway represents the OPC UA server, and the client can request data from it. So the lower interface, the meshing interface, is used to connect to the SINUMERIK, and you can use the X120 or X130 to collect data. But please keep in mind, if you are using the X130, you need to enable the port in the internal firewall, port number 102. So once again, X130, please enable the port. If you're using X120, just plug in the cable and that's it. And once again, we can access both areas. We can use the NCK area as well as the PLC area. Yeah, one big question is how to collect the data, how to get data out from the SINUMERIK. And this is done via two files. So the gateway needs two files. We have to tell the gateway how to address the PLC part and how to address the NCK part. So for addressing the PLC part, we need a .sdfi file, and it looks like this. Let's see, .sdfi file says program running can be found in data block 21, byte 35, and bit 0. If you want to collect data program stopped, you have to query data block 21, byte 35.2. And also could be a workpiece counter in the PLC part, and correspondingly you have to change the actual place where it's saved in the PLC part. So this is what the SDFI file is all about, and if we take a closer look in the AWL file, you will see that the syntax is much different, but a bit complicated, but they have tools that manage that for you. So for example, channel 1 has an actual override, and the syntax is like, you have an area and a unit, a row, a line, data block type, and so on. Just that you have an impression about what it looks like. So we need both files to address both parts, and these files are different, and once we have created the files, just have to import the files into the UA gate, and that's it. So you may ask, that's cool that I now know that I need two files, but how do I get the files? How do I set them up? And there you have two options. First option, you can download pre-configured files from our web page. So I will show you that later on, but go to our web page and you can download some pre-configured files, looks like that, which contains the .awl file as well as the SDFI file. So if you say, yeah, these are cool, Softing provides all the information I need and they meet my requirements, you don't need an additional tool. So you can use them and import them in the gateway and that's it. But if you say, I need specific information, I need more data or specific data, then you can customize them at any time. But then you need additional tools, the data feed exporter and a tool called NCR Selector. So I just want to show you the NCR Selector. It's a tool which comes not from Softing, comes from Siemens. So if you want that tool, please ask Siemens how to get that. And what it does is you can import a so-called .var file, and this comes with the pre-configured file. You can download it from our webpage, and then you can, for example, add more variables. Maybe you import that and you can see it's only 5, it contains 5 variables, and after that you can add or delete specific variables, and what comes out from the NCR selector is a .awl file, which is needed to access the NCK part of the SINUMERIK. The same, pretty much the same procedure needs to be done with the data feed exporter. This tool comes from Softing. This is for free, downloaded via our web page. You have to import the S7 project, or also the TIA project, doesn't matter. Import the complete project and you tick some boxes and say, okay, I would like to see this variable, this variable, this variable, and what comes out is the .sdfi file, the file which we need to access the PLC part. Well, that's actually the end of the theoretical part. I will now start with the live demonstration. Once again, what I want to do is I want to collect data from my SINUMERIK 840D via my gateway, data feed UA gate 840D, and then provide the data via OPC UA. Okay, so once again, here is the web page, data-intelligence.softing.com. If you go to products, UA gate 840D, you will find some useful information and go to the download section, and then you can download the pre-configured symbol files which I talked earlier. To download this, please, you need to set up an account to access the downloads. Once you have done that, you can open up the folder. There's a README which explains again what the different extensions are, what the different files are, what they are used for, and you can see we have here .awl file, .sdfi file, and also the .var file, which can be used to get started in the NCR selector. Okay, now I switch to the gateway, so I have already typed in the IP address in my browser. I'm using Chrome, and this is the landing page. Can provide some useful information like it's running and it's running for 2 days. The connection could be established successfully, the actual temperature, and so on. Very important for us is meshing settings and IT settings. I will start with meshing settings, and I want to set up a new connection down to the SINUMERIK. So I click on PLC. I want to start from scratch, so I delete that one. Now I add another SINUMERIK, and what I have to specify here is the name and the IP address, of course. And in my case, the IP address is that one. And to which areas do I want to connect to? Do I want only the NCK part or the PLC, or even both? You can just tick the box, and I don't have to specify something in here. Leave it by default, that's fine. So I press save, and this is pretty much everything I need to do in the configuration. So now I have to import the files. I start with the symbol import for the NCK part. I choose file, and I'm using the one here, press import, and this can take a while until the file is loaded in the gateway. Cool, that's done. So I go back, and now I have to import the PLC file, so the SDFI file for addressing the PLC part. It's pretty much the same procedure. Click on it, click on import. Okay, so I press save, and the last thing I have to do is to press here to apply all the settings. So the configuration is then loaded into the gateway. This is all done now, so I go back to the IT settings. Once again, you can specify the IP address of the gateway in the IT network configuration, which is the upper interface. Type in the IP address. You can also obtain an IP address from the DHCP server. That doesn't matter which, it depends on you, what you prefer. And the IP address you have entered here is the same as here in the browser. So this is the IP address to access the gateway. And I can now decide to provide the data via OPC UA or MQTT. And in the OPC UA section, you can do some security settings, like I just want to provide all the data, sign and encrypt or only sign, and I want to use I don't know, basic 128 RSA 15. This is the actual algorithm which is applied for sign and encrypting the data. I can also specify here that the client has to authenticate itself via username or password, or has to send a certificate, and I also have to manage the certificates. You know, if you're familiar with the security settings in OPC UA, you know that you have to trust the certificates on both sides, so the client has to trust the certificate of the server and vice versa. And this is done in this section here. It is also possible to send data out via MQTT, so the gateway represents MQTT publisher, and we can send data to a broker, and I can set up here the connection to the broker, like I have to specify here the IP address, can say, yeah, please clean the session, this is actually a special MQTT setting, specify here the topics, and and so on. You can specify the publish format and the quality of service and so on. So in my case, I want to see the data in my OPC UA client. So I go back to OPC UA Server, and that's actually the endpoint URI which I have to enter in my client to access the integrated OPC UA Server on my gateway. So I change now to my OPC UA client. I'm using the Softing data feed OPC UA Demo client. Can also be downloaded from our web page. It's also a free tool. You can use, of course, another client. It doesn't really matter. That's, by the way, the great advantage of OPC UA. So it's not vendor dependent. And I want a new connection, so I double click on add session, type in my endpoint URL, click on validate connection, and this green tick indicates that the connection could be established successfully. Press OK, and what I get here in the configuration browse section is the basic, the typical OPC UA structure, split it in object types and views, and the variables which I'm interested are mainly in the objects. So in here it's again separated in the NCK part and the PLC part. Well, let's see what's inside the NCK part. In channel 1 there's a variable called program name, line number, line content, which operating mode, the actual override, the actual position of the axis in world coordinates. What else do I want to show you? These are the drives. So let's say what temperature does the drive has, which voltage, which current, and so on and so on. And also the alarm list is very important. And now I can see something like this is the actual program. It was done for the fair in Nuremberg, and the line number is 9. There's using a spindle, the actual tool, actual speed, actual override. Let's have a quick look at the alarm logs. So what you get out is the ID number and the text as well. So it says something like, I don't know, can't interpret it very much, says here something like triangle. I am not an expert on these alarms, but you can at least see that we have some active alarms. And I wonder if I can find, okay, they are actually all active. You would also see if the alarm was acknowledged, so then it would say it's deactive, something like that. Okay, let's go quickly back and look what the PLC part does provide us, and like program running, program wait, program stop, and look back to data access, and it says, okay, program is currently running, and yeah, it's obviously it's not wait, it's not stop, it's not aborted because the program's running. So these are all the data which I can get out of the SINUMERIK with the pre-configured files. So if you need more, as I said, you can do that, that's fine, but you need additional tools for it, the data feed exporter and the NCR Selector from Siemens. Any questions afterwards, don't hesitate to send me an email or visit our webpage, data-intelligence.softing.com. At this point, I'd like to say thank you very much for your attention. Keep care and goodbye.